You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
Pepsi Prebiotic Cola in original and cherry vanilla. That Pepsi taste you love with no artificial sweeteners and 3 grams of prebiotic fiber. Pepsi Prebiotic Cola. Unbelievably Pepsi.
Did you guys see my Lumen stock?
I normally watch your stock every day, Joe. It's something that really starts my day off right, but today I missed it.
I have to admit that I stopped tracking it. This garbage, for people that are new to Stacking Benjamin show, I had $500 sitting in a brokerage account. I saw something.
Oh, here comes the flex.
I saw something online where the CEO just bought a bunch of her own stock, and it was, $1.50. So I loaded up $500 worth, guys. I know, the big money right here.
Well, now it's big money. What's in the account right now? Taking us all to
hold on.
the Sizzler after this.
So then I told people that even people that know what they're doing do stupid stuff they shouldn't do. Like, open up let's say, Doug, not quite as bad as opening up. Let's say that I opened up a casino app and didn't look at the fine print. I would never do something like that. But $500.
I made $4,000, bro. Come at me.
Well, there's somebody in the Basement Facebook group was like, yeah, and I looked at Joe's Lumen stock for fun and wow, he's doing great. I'm like, I am?
Yeah.
And they said the magic words. You know what the 2 magic words are to make your stock go through the roof?
Elon Musk.
Well, close. Artificial intelligence.
Oh.
They're building fiber optics that help artificial intelligence go faster. So you're welcome. You're welcome, stackers. I'm sure you took me up on my big stock tip that was fantastic.
Well, are you doing anything with it? You selling it? You just letting it ride?
Oh no, I'm gonna pull a neighbor Doug. I think I'm gonna ride this back all the way into the ground, if possible.
Hey,
yeah,
it's got to be worth $2,000 now. That's pretty good.
But you know what? The whole time I was celebrating, there were people out on the front lines making sure that we were safe so that we could party because the Lumen stock's through the roof. So I got my Sparty mug, getting ready for a new season. There's a new hope. My team's undefeated, OG. My team's undefeated. And you've got
my flapjacks.
Flapjacks in
breakfast cake. It's protein.
And Doug, you've got
sausage.
He's good. We got flapjack, sausage, and coffee between the 3 of us. That's pretty good.
Nice.
I'm here to inspire.
That Inspire mug of yours looks like the NBC.
It does.
The more you know.
The more you know.
Doesn't it? Yes. On behalf of the men and women making podcast of Mom's Basement, the men and women at Navy Federal Credit Union supporting our troops, here's to our troops. Thank you so much for all the work you do. Let's go stack some Benjamins together.
I don't like my job, and I don't think I'm gonna go anymore.
So you're gonna quit?
Nuh-uh. I'm just gonna stop going.
So you're gonna get another job?
I don't think I'd like another job.
Live from Joe's mom's basement, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and today you'll learn how to budget for the activities that fulfill your heart but don't make you any money with documentarian Maya Chupkov. In our headlines, prepare for your next raise to be smaller. We'll explain why in our headline. Plus, we'll answer a question from one stacker who thought, you know what, I'd better call Saul. See hi and OG. And then I'll share some elocutionary trivia. And now, 2 guys who never mince words when it comes to personal finance. It's Joe and G.
Hey, everybody. So happy you're here. Welcome to the Doug Must Have Purchased a Dictionary podcast. Elocutionary?
Yeah, you say it. You try saying that on the spot.
Elocution. I defy you to define that word.
You were going to say, I defile you. I know you would. You caught yourself.
Well, we got a show to do first. we got to. I get a little excited when you use the word elocutionary. We got a fantastic show, everybody. Welcome to Stacking Benjamins. I am Joe Saul-Sehy. And relax, sit back, and get ready to get your money nerdery on, because we've got some good stuff for you today. Man, I'm looking at this. This is like a greatest hits episode all in an hour. Maya Chupkov here today, OG.
Sweet.
She has made a documentary. And you know, these people that make documentaries, they make you no money. So what's it doing on a money show? Well, as you know, OG, sometimes it's about a little more than money, you know? Like, let's say you decide to put a pool in your backyard that will make you, I'm sure that made you a ton of money.
The pool in my backyard has not made me a ton of money.
No.
I've not turned it into a revenue stream as of yet.
So I'm going to ask Maya why she didn't just put a pool in her backyard instead of making a documentary. But there are these things that you want to do that fill your soul. And we're going to talk to Maya about that. She's the host of the Proud Stutterer podcast. She advocates for people that have the condition that a lot of people don't know that I have. Stutterers all over the place. But before that, we've got a wild headline. OG, you and I need this before Doug asks for his next raise. That's going to be an important one.
He's getting a 200% raise.
You know what? Let's give him a 400% raise.
4 bajillion%.
Doug, congratulations.
What is this?
We decided to change your raise this year. We're changing your title to the king of podcast announcer guys.
Is that how you quantify a bajillion? Is by a title change?
Yes.
I like the bajillion more than the title. I'll take it. I don't care. I'll take it.
We're going to pay you in publicity, Doug. We're going to make it so all the listeners can hear, both the listeners can hear all the words that come out of your mouth. But before all that, we have sponsors that make this podcast hum to keep it free, so you don't have to pay for it. And here's a couple now. We'll be right back. Dell PCs with Intel Inside are built for the moments you plan and the ones you don't. They're for those all-night study sessions, the moment you're working from a cafe and realize every outlet's taken, the times you're deep in your flow and can't be interrupted by an auto update. That's why Dell builds tech that adapts to you. Built with long-lasting batteries so you're not scrambling for an outlet, and built-in intelligence that makes updates around your schedule, not in the middle of it. Find technology built for the way you work at Dell.com/Dell PCs. Built for you. In business, there is no room for guesswork. Every shipment matters. Every deadline counts. And when you're trying to keep operations running smoothly, the last thing you need is uncertainty. That's why reliability is at the core of USPS Ground Advantage. From the moment your package is first scanned in, it moves through a secure nationwide network, aiding in a timely and accurate delivery. You get near real-time tracking so you can keep up with your shipments. And with affordable upfront pricing, there are no hidden fees or surprise surcharges to throw off your cost sheets. It all adds up to predictable deliveries you can depend on, because knowing your logistics are handled lets you focus on everything else, your customers, your team, and the future you're building. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to start shipping with confidence. USPS Ground Advantage. We mean business. Maya Chupkov joining us to talk about her new documentary, Rock of Hope, and the making of a documentary when you know it's not going to be a big money-making project. But before that, let's do our headline.
Hello, darlings. And now it's time for your favorite part of the show, our Stacking Benjamins headlines.
Today's headline comes to us from the Wall Street Journal. This is written by Vanessa Furmans and Samvi Bangalore. This is disconcerting, OG. Prepare for your next raise to be smaller than you'd hoped. It's if we've been warning people the last couple of years that you really needed to make sure that you got a raise, inflation being very high, you needed the raise to keep up with it. And now, OG, looks like that window may be closing for a lot of people. Not great.
Well, and the problem there is, of course, is that inflation is very local and it's very specific, it seems anyway, relative to both where you are economically, how it's impacting you, and geographically. Obviously, there's different areas of the country where it's, you know, a little bit higher or lower than other places. And it's focused on generally just a few key areas: healthcare, food and transportation, and to some extent insurance, which I guess you could put in the transportation cost. Those are the like the largest expenses that people have. But when the government looks at it, and says, "Oh, inflation's like 3%. That's good." It's like, well, yeah, you're counting this thing that I don't use very often in part of that formula. Meanwhile, eggs are going up, $1 every week, every time I go to the grocery store.
No, it's magic. It's barely gone up at all. These two write, the era of hefty pay increases is over. Companies are already making plans to trim raises again next year. The shrinking raises are the latest side alongside a couple weeks ago's lackluster jobs report. Workers have lost much of the leverage they've had with bosses in the past few years. With hiring now slowing sharply, employers are controlling payroll costs by cutting or freezing bonuses, doling out fewer and smaller merit increases, business leaders and compensation consultants say. So if we assume, OG, that the raise may be smaller this year, what do we do then on the other side of the balance sheet to maybe control the fact that there might not be as much money coming in the front door?
Well, I think that some of this goes to your ability to communicate the value that you provide. Just because the economy is a little weaker, or just because unemployment's a little bit higher, which means, what the author is saying here is that there's a little less leverage, right? You don't have to pay me as much because you go replace me because people are looking for jobs a little bit more than maybe they were 2 years ago. A lot of this comes down to, your self-promotion and your self-marketing. If you haven't taken a tally of the last year's worth of projects that you've worked on, or the last year's worth of outcomes that you've provided for your company, it's a great time to do that, because then when that season comes up, we do our stuff in the middle of the summer. But I know a lot of companies have third quarter, fourth quarter, that's kind of the seasonality of bonuses and raises and that sort of thing, promotions. But you don't want to go into that meeting without having your own ammunition, right? If you show up with like, hey, I'm here for my performance review and I haven't done any personal prep, then whatever the boss says, now you're arguing, versus showing up with like, here's all the money I saved, or here's all the, the sales we've made because of our team, or here's the projects that we accomplished. And you know what I mean? Like, if you can make a case for yourself, and the summertime is a great time to do that. A lot of places are a little slower in the summertime, before it picks up again as everybody gets back to school. So go back through your calendar and look at the engagements that you've had, or look at the clients that you've won, or, that sort of thing, and kind of start building your own pitch book, I guess.
Well, and I love, to that point, OG, I loved when Len Penzo was here last week. For people that missed him, you want to go back and listen to his wonderful sandwich survey episode from last week, looking at the price of inflation, what we're talking about here, but through the eyes of back to school, back to work sandwiches. But he said what he would always do was he would keep a tally whenever he was involved in a project. He had this little notebook on his desk, and he would just jot a little thing. I'm working on this. I'm working on this. I'm working on this. So he didn't have to remember, because how hard is it to remember what you did in February and March when you're trying to put all that together in November? I love that idea.
Yeah, there's no way to accurately portray your entire year's worth of work when you've got, 24 hours to think about it. To Len's point, if you haven't put this down over the course of a year, now's the time to start kind of thinking about it, because you have time to kind of build your case, if that makes sense.
Ellen Teeter, 23 years old, was told when she joined her company, she received a 10% signing bonus, by the way, was told that raises would range from none at all to 10%. Her raise, 1.5%.
Oh,
what'd you say?
I said none at all.
None at all.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
Sorry, what with the under on that one? She says, quote, and this might be the understatement of the year. Speaking of under, I was underwhelmed, said the bank operations analyst in Charlotte, North Carolina. She's in banking and did that bad. The median raise last year was 4.5%. And to your point, OG, this is going to be regional. This is also going to be industry by industry, much more specific than that. So maybe join Glassdoor or another place where you can look at what people in your business are actually getting for raises. But nationwide, 4.5% was the median. 4.1, they expect to be the median this year. And 2025, they expect that to go down to 3.9. That's all according to employer advisory firm WTW. But let's talk about that other side of the bet. Let's say that no matter what, you work for a company and it's just tight, OG. That means that maybe the income side of the balance sheet, sure, we can start a side hustle. We can do some of the make more money things we've talked about over the years on the show. But let's talk about what the easiest wins are on the expense side of the ledger, where can we find money to make up for the fact that we aren't bringing as much, competitively through the door?
Well, setting aside the go earn more money argument, which we've talked about those things, but also going to find other work in your industry is usually the largest increases that you get. I think everybody recognizes. I was having this conversation with a friend of mine a couple of weeks ago. He was looking at his company and the money that he was making and stuff like that. And I said, look, the only way that you're going to get an outsized return is to actually leave. You can come back, like if you're good, they'll want you back, but you go somewhere and then you reset that. Now, a lot of people don't want to do that. I get it. It's a giant pain in the butt. And if your company finds out that you're looking, that's bad juju, all that sort of stuff, but not doing any of those things. The thing that I would start with in your personal life is looking at where you're spending all of your money. A lot of times you see these, David Bach, for example, the latte factor, which drives me crazy. It's not about the latte. It's about the fact that you're paying a higher than you should mortgage rate or something like that. Look at where the big checks that you write every single month are going and see where you can move those needles. Yeah, sure. If you go out for coffee every day, maybe if you change that to every other day, you can have an impact. But if you look at your expense list and sort it by highest expense to lowest, that gives you a good idea of where your biggest bang for your buck could be.
About 6 months ago, you said something. I wrote it down because you finally said something that I liked and I agreed with. OG.
It was so good.
I think at the time we were talking about strategic planning and the value of the exercise. A lot of times as a team, whether it's us here in the basement or you're in a big corporate environment, the value of that isn't as much about the document you come up with at the end, but all of the discussions that lead into that. So I'm going to quickly pivot to the latte factor. Because no, you're probably not going to make huge, meaningful impacts to your lifestyle and your budget by figuring out if you should buy store brand sugar instead of, the national brand. Is there one? I don't know. But the exercise of looking through all of those expenses and you eventually get down to the lattes and the, store brand versus national brand cereal, better example, there is a difference.
Mm-hmm. There is.
That's where I think you find a lot of that stuff. And yeah, hopefully you're going to find some really big wins in the larger items in your monthly, cars, homes, vacations, etc. But I do think there's a value in looking at some of those smaller granular expenses.
I found when Cheryl and I did that, it was actually fun. It didn't make a huge impact immediately, Doug, to your point. But when we go through our Monarch Money app and we're looking at the different expenses that we have, like it just makes you more mindful about what you're spending.
Yeah, I believed everything you said, except for it was actually fun.
It was fun. Well, I've talked before about how we do this.
Nerd.
We do it over wine or pancakes, and it's 20 minutes long. It's a good time.
There would have to be acid in that wine for me to make that fun for me.
Wow, all these expenses are in 3D.
Oh, do you see
amazing.
lizards crawling across our balance sheet?
I think that one that always pops out on ours, OG, restaurant spending, right? When I get a little lazy, I see and the expense side of the ledger starts creeping up in a month. It's because of the fact that we didn't take the time to do the grocery shopping. And it's funny because if I meal prep and I grocery shop, I actually eat that food that's in my refrigerator. It's when I don't do that, those first two steps, that I'm like, oh, you know what? I don't want to stop by the grocery store. Let's go to a restaurant.
You know what I just found in our refrigerator from May?
Oh, boy.
That I'm very bummed about.
Takeout?
Oh, no. So my wife loves crab cakes. So we have a great crab cake recipe. Costco has fantastic fresh crab. You guys don't like crab cakes?
No, I don't like crab cakes from March.
Yeah, the crab sitting in that's the part that I'm already reeling back on.
So hold on, let me get there. So her birthday's in May. And when I was shopping for her birthday, Costco's got fresh lump crab and it's £1 and it's just, and they had 2 of them. And I was like, all right, when did they expire? In June. This is May, June. So 2 months. I can make crab cakes twice in 2 months. That's not excessive. Well, it's August and that can of lump crab is still sitting in the fridge. It was in the back corner. That stuff ticks me off because that stuff's super expensive. That's like the one time a year where you buy that fancy stuff to make a nice meal or something. And then I was like, I'll just get 2 because it'll be really good.
Yeah.
And then it would have been cheaper just to go freaking out to dinner because I spent the money and it was trying to be smart and have 2 meals out of it and screwed it up. So, take inventory of your of your fridge before you go
Did you
grocery
not
shopping.
notice when the paint started peeling in your kitchen from the?
It's not open, dude. It's in a container.
Wouldn't that have been horrible?
It's not a crab sitting in the fridge staring at you
Were
when
there,
you open
were
it
there
up.
cats lined up outside your house?
He can't figure out why every feral cat in the neighborhood wants into OG's kitchen.
Jeez. It's in a container.
I didn't know, though, because those are sealed. There's an expiration date then, huh?
Yeah, it was a month and a half ago. There's some chance I'll open it just to double check and make sure. I'm pretty good about going, yeah, no. But this was expensive enough that I might have a whiff just to see how rancid it is.
I hope everybody can join us for next Monday's episode, how to pay for emergency room visits out of your pocket.
HSA.
It'll just be Joe and I.
That's right.
Yeah.
The value of HSA spending.
So we'll see.
Well, OG, there's one more facet to this piece, which is that new hires, of course, now are going to be taking the brunt of this, right? So if you're somebody, OG, looking for a job now, make sure you grab either our 201 newsletter, where Kevin's going to go through, dive in how to apply for jobs and get the job that you want. Go back and listen to Tessa West, who was on just a couple weeks ago, talking about getting the job that you really want. Like if you're sending out 600 resumes, you're doing it wrong. You are doing it wrong if you're carpet bombing for a new job. But I think that learning about the new job is learning about how to be more strategic, getting your new job. I think it's going to be super important. I'll link to this piece in our show notes at stackybenjamins.com. Coming up next, Maya Chupkov is someone I met when she invited me on to the Proud Stutterer podcast. I found out that she was working on this awesome documentary project. And it always amazes me when someone is working on a project and dedicating hours and hours to something that has very little chance of a monetary payoff. And yet you see, if anybody's ever read the book Flow. OG, have you read Flow?
By Mikhail.
I was going to let you pronounce his name. Yeah. Mikhail Semisic, the University of Chicago guy. Doug, have you read it?
No, I have not.
Oh, Doug's a really good English reader. Maybe he should try to say this guy's name.
I think it's B English reader.
I thought you were trying to say Michaela Schifrin. So
no, close.
No,
but not
she
quite.
Could write a book about flow.
Yeah, a different person. But the philosophy of flow is when you were so into something that the hours just seem to pass, and it's this optimal use of time. And for Maya, as you're going to hear, putting this documentary together is that. But how do you finance that project? How do you get that done? How do you work on things that aren't going to, quote, pay in dollars? We got that coming up next. But before we get there, Doug, you've got some, I don't even remember the word. It was such a big, what was the big word you used?
Electricianary. Wasn't that it?
I think it was elocutionary.
If you say so. Hey there, stackers. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. Inspired by today's guest, stuttering advocate Maya Chupkov. Wait, I'm not saying she's an advocate who stutters. I mean, she's an advocate for people who stutter, but she also stutters. So technically she is a stuttering advocate. Anyway, before I get myself into trouble, her work got me thinking about someone else who was famous for his stutter, King George VI, known as Prince Albert before he was crowned. Oh, that's where that name comes from. So I guess he's known for two things. Aside from lending his first royal title to a provocative body piercing that I may or may not have, King George is most well known for his legendary accomplishments during his reign throughout World War II. Most notably, he helped unify the country by continuing to live at Buckingham Palace during the war. Sounds like something I would have done, actually. Man, I once stayed here in the basement for an entire week while the Jehovah's Witnesses were canvassing our street.
Oh boy.
Thank God for Uber Eats. I don't know how I would have survived if I had to go to the grocery store myself.
Have to talk to somebody.
I mean, you're just putting yourself in danger. If those Jehovah's Witnesses are roaming the neighborhood, you can't do that. Today's trivia question is, which Academy Award-winning film was inspired by King George VI? I'll be back right after I figure out how to apply for knighthood and look up Prince Albert piercings. Sure, I mean, I know what it is, but it's always good to verify with pictures.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
What would you do if your online store converted 36% more shoppers? You could take 36% more vacation.
Another pina colada?
Yes, please.
Open a new retail location with 36% more square feet.
Fantastic.
Hire 36% more help.
You're hired and you're hired.
Shopify has the world's best converting checkout, up to 36% better than other e-commerce platforms. What you do with those extra sales is up to you. Switch to Shopify today at shopify.com/listen and get a $1 trial. Shopify.com/listen.
Did you know Fast Growing Trees is America's largest and most trusted online nursery with thousands of trees and plants and over 2 million happy customers? Whether you're planting fruit trees, adding privacy, brightening things up with flowers, or bringing in houseplants, Fast Growing Trees has it all. Even better, they can help you find options that are right for your climate, your space, and lifestyle. Click Order Grow. Every plant arrives healthy with the Alive and Thrive guarantee straight to your door. So if you're ready to get planting, this is the moment. Right now, they have great deals on spring planting essentials, up to half off on select plants. And listeners to our show get 20% off their first purchase when using the code WWO at checkout. That's an additional 20% off. Better plants and better growing at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code WWO at checkout. Fastgrowingtrees.com, code WWO. Now's the perfect time to plant. Let's grow together. Use WWO to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions apply. Go to growingfasttrees.com for details.
Hey there, stackers. I'm piercing survivalist and future knight, Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. During the break, not only did I look up Prince Albert piercings, I recommend, by the way, not looking that up, at least not on a work computer. I also measured myself for an eventual suit of armor when I'm knighted. I added a little room for a sweater. It's got to be cold inside those things. And don't worry, I used imperial measurements since I'm submitting them to the Empire. So little gestures like that make a big difference when you're applying for a job or a royal title. Today's trivia question is, which Academy Award-winning film was inspired by King George VI? The answer? Taking home a whopping 70 awards across various ceremonies, The King's Speech depicted King George's inspiring radio speech that informed the world of England's decision to enter World War II. And now, here to teach you how to fund your passions without going broke, it's today's mentor, Maya Chupkov.
And I'm super happy she's joining me at the card table. Maya Chupkov is here. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm super happy you're here. In fact, our whole team is super happy to talk about this because we talk about so many things. Before we get to you and what a badass you are and how cool this project is that you're working on, there's an elephant in the room that we have to talk about. Last week, the Olympics ended. You are very close to one of our Olympians, and not just any Olympian, one that I think a lot of our stackers will know.
Yes. Jade Carey, who's on the USA women's gymnastics team.
Never heard of her. No, I'm kidding.
She's my cousin. So my cousin just married Jade's father. So we officially have an Olympian in the family, which has been really exciting.
That's so cool. Have the two of you met?
Yes, her cousin and now her dad's in our family. They got married at my mom's house. So
oh, cool.
Yeah, we're all very close.
Yeah. So you might've been watching with a little extra home push, I would think.
Yes. I was very nervous the whole time, but she knocked it out of the park and I'm so proud of her.
It was so amazing. That's cool. All right. I just wanted to start there. We're not going to talk about Jade. We're talking about you, Maya. I wanted to talk about this was really three things. One, I think there's a lot of us that just want to see the behind the scenes of how you make a picture, whether it's a documentary or just any picture, like what really goes on, like what's the good, the bad, the ugly, what's the sexy stuff, and also the stuff that other people don't see. And then second, we tell our stackers all the time that life is about more than money. And yet we tend to focus on money because we're a money show. I know that we've spoken to a few documentarians, and I know that it's a struggle, but it's worth it in so many ways, spending hours without a profit motive, you know? I'd love to talk about that and about the goals for this film. And then third, I'd like to talk about budgeting for this. Let's talk about the money a little bit, if that's okay. But I think we have to start out, Maya, with stuttering. How has stuttering affected your life?
Wow. So, yeah, stuttering has probably affected every part of my life, from the grade school times, which was a little more traumatic, to now like finding my life's purpose. So, I would say it's impacted every part of my life. But mostly when I think about my life now, I feel like it's given me so much, and it makes all the negative things I experienced as a kid so worth it, because now I'm able to really know who I am through coming to terms with my stutter and helping others have kind of that same experience.
When I was in elementary school, they called me the jackhammer, and it was merciless. And then obviously you get a little older and kids go, you know, and well-meaning adults go, just spit it out, just spit it out. And it was funny, and you know this because you know a lot of the science behind it clearly way more than I do, that I could say without a stutter, if I could spit it out, I would. But then I would go back to stuttering over the same thing that was happening. What was it like? You mentioned elementary school. Was it similar for you then?
Yeah, I don't have a ton of memories from elementary school. I feel like it was really painful for me. So I feel like so much of those memories are just kind of like they're there somewhere, but I feel like they're really, I like push them down. But the kinds of things I do remember just navigating middle school and high school is one of the things I'd always wanted to do was audition for the school play. Like I always wanted to act. I always wanted to like be on stage and perform, and I just never did. And sometimes I feel like I wish I did, because it would have given me a lot. But, you know, that's just one of the things with stuttering when you're young, like something that comes up a lot on my podcast, Proud Stutterer, is avoiding situations where you might get found out as a person who stutters. I would try my best to hide that part of myself.
How do you go from hiding to becoming such a huge advocate? Like, where did the podcast come from?
It happened during the pandemic, as a lot of things probably sprouted from that. But yeah, for me, it was just being really unhappy. I think a story that would resonate with your audience is during the pandemic, I had gotten a job where I was making the most money I've ever made. And I thought I made it. I was like, this is the job. Like, I'm going to, life is good. Right. And then I started to realize like, this is not the job I thought it was. And I was really unhappy. And it just made me look at money differently, because I had always strived to like get a high salary to feel valued. But then that experience just made me realize like it's not worth it. And now how I think about a salary is like the higher your salary, the more they can kind of expect from you. And so now I really approach my work is that my salary doesn't dictate my worth. Like I'm in control. Now I have a decent salary, but like I'm not attaching it to my worth. I'm attaching my worth into the things that drive me and my passion, which is making films.
It's so interesting. We spoke with Scott Galloway recently on the show, and I'll link to it in the show notes. And he said this idea of having a work that fulfills you is kind of kind of BS. Like you can pay the bills and make sure that it leaves you time to fulfill you in other ways. Did you change jobs then? So when you got the high paying job, did you then end up quitting that job and taking a different lower paying job? Or did you just kind of mitigate it into a job like with your boss that you like better?
So yeah, I changed jobs, took a huge pay cut, and I'm
Wow.
talking huge. And the reason I took a huge pay cut is because the job that I really wanted, I just felt like it was such a good culture fit, and I followed my gut, and it now I'm at a job where I'm like the happiest I've ever been. And I did manage to get a pretty decent salary boost recently. And so now I'm at a more stable point. And I think it was just me following my gut and really trying to make it work. And my happiness allowed me to adapt. And honestly, ever since I started the podcast, doors have just been opening up because I just feel like there's this curtain that's been pulled and there's this openness. And the more open I am, the more opportunities there are.
Isn't that wild? Because it's the opposite, I think, of what most people think.
Yeah. My philosophy now, whenever I talk to anyone that's really struggling with their job or like trying to navigate these transitions, I just tell them the story that I just told you because like I wish someone would have told me that earlier. Because it's always been instilled with me that I have to like work hard and like step up and there's this path. And so now I'm like, something my boss just asked me, he was like, oh, if we were to get more money for your program, would you want to manage other people and get like more money? And I'm just like, no, I don't want to manage anyone. Like I'm okay with where I'm at. Like I know what makes me happy and what doesn't. And managing someone is just not something I want to do. In like that job, stuttering's a whole different thing. But yeah, I'm starting to really be more in control of what I want professionally, which is really powerful.
What'd your boss say when you said that?
He was like, "Oh, okay." Like he was just like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah."
He probably doesn't hear that much.
No, I don't think so. He was definitely shocked, but now he knows. He's like, "Okay, like that's just a boundary Maya has," and I felt really good in that. And not every boss would react that way, but I felt that I could be honest with him about that. And so now we just have this understanding.
Our stackers are wondering just a couple things, Maya. And the first one is maybe impolite, but how old are you? Because there's a bunch of people wondering, like, what stage of your career you're in.
I am 31.
And then the second question is that I know people are wondering is you took this big pay cut. Did you have to then downsize it all? Or when you got the big pay bump, had you not really increased your lifestyle? Because we see people that we interview on the show that struggle with that all the time. Like there might have been a lifestyle change.
Yeah. So my lifestyle did not change. I was at this job for a little over a year, but I've always been raised to like have a savings account. My dad really instilled that in me. And so I really just kept up my normal lifestyle. Like every once in a while, I would just have an impulsive buy that really like made my endorphins increase, which was fun.
Gives you that big dopamine hit. Yeah.
Yeah. But other than that, I really just stayed at that level and I was able to save a lot of money. So that was cool.
Well, that's fantastic because I feel like for a lot of people, as they make more money, they think, well, this is who I am. And I love the fact that you've divorced yourself from that. Like who I am at work and the money I bring in is not who I am. The podcast obviously has done very well. And I love the accolades that you're getting for the podcast. How did that then end up becoming this documentary project?
Yeah. So I've wanted to make documentaries since I was pretty young. I actually interned at the International Documentary Association.
Oh, wow.
when I was in high school. But I never thought it was possible for me. I never thought I was creative enough or talented enough. I think there was a lot of lack of confidence because of my stutter. I'm not saying I couldn't make films because of my stutter, but there's like a connection between my confidence and stuttering and thinking I could make documentaries. And so the podcast really started giving me the confidence to have a voice, and I was able to find that creativity that's always been in me. The podcast like started as just a passion project, but now we kind of have a decent amount of like monthly the donors that kind of helps cover our operational costs. It's not a lot, but it's helpful. And I had wanted to see if I could get grants to do Proud Stutter and make it into a nonprofit. So I recently partnered with the Independent Arts and Media to be my fiscal sponsor so I could use them to apply for tax deductible grants. And once I had that, I started just exploring grant opportunities. And I found that there's California Humanities is a grant maker, and they had a track for like audio documentaries. And so I was like, how cool would it be to do an audio documentary around stuttering? So I sent them a grant application that I'd worked really hard on, and they ended up giving me $35,000 to make an audio documentary. Yeah. But then
Before we go further, because I've got so many questions along the way, because that first step is, Maya, during your interviews, I hear this, everybody's afraid to make that first step. When you reached out to that organization to ask them for help, how hard was that? And how did that discussion go to get them on your team so that you'd be able to then get these grants?
Yeah, so that process was actually pretty smooth because they like what you had to do was just fill out a form, and then they meet with you, and then you talk about like your program and why it fits their criteria of what they're looking for. And so I already knew they had a lot of podcasts part of their network. So I was pretty confident that it would work out. So that part was pretty easy because, as long as you're like an art program or something, like they accept a lot of people in their network.
Well, I think a key there, not to put words in your mouth, but just listening to you, it feels like it does for me, just doing your homework and being prepared really calms down the fear.
Right. Yeah. Like I had known going in that this was a good fit, and I'd done my research, and yeah, I had thought a lot about the different options because there's so many ways to be a nonprofit. And I just thought having a fiscal sponsor would allow me to just hit the ground running without worrying about like all the admin and paperwork type of thing.
Yeah. Right. Well, and then that's the second question is, so you get this monster, just a beautiful grant. You said you spent a lot of time on it. How do you define a lot of time? Like if somebody's looking for this type of a grant, how much time did you have to spend?
Well, balancing a full-time job and a podcast, I spent 2 months on that. Yeah. It's a very, very competitive grant. So I kind of knew like I really wanted to knock it out of the park. So I kind of like overdid it in the best way.
Well, and apparently it worked, right? Do you remember where you were when you opened up? I'm assuming it was an email that you got that said you won.
I don't even remember. It was such a blur, but yeah, I knew. Yeah, that was the biggest grant. Like that was the start of everything, that moment. Yeah, because then one thing led to another where someone, my kind of co-partner on the film, Tessa, who also stutters, when she had heard an interview from one of my episodes, she was like, Maya, we need to do a documentary on this. Is there any way to change that? And so, yeah, I was able to change from an audio to a full on documentary. And so that's like the pool of money we've been using to work on this documentary.
Well, before we talk about the bait and switch of we got them with audio, let's go video. No, I'm kidding. But we'll talk about that change in a second. The subject of this documentary you first saw on an episode of Jon Stewart, I understand.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I just so happened to be watching this show, the Problem with Jon Stewart on Apple TV, because my husband watches it a lot and I don't really watch it, but I just so happen to be like watching it with him. And I start listening to Jay speak about his life story, how he's advocating for people with felonies and his life just like being outside of prison and just like how much it was stacked against him. And everything he was saying, I just felt this sense of like, oh my God, I need to like reach out to this person and just tell him how much he's inspired me. And so, yeah, I found him on LinkedIn, messaged him, and he responded almost right away and was like, oh, I see you have a podcast about stuttering. I too stutter. And I didn't hear him stutter at all. I was just kind of like, I just felt something. I was like, I pulled towards him just for him speaking. And then that was the moment that everything changed.
It's so wild though, just by reaching out. I mean, my impetus, and I think this originally comes from stuttering, is to not reach out, right? I think a lot of, for me, being an introvert is because of stuttering, and I stutter more when I get tired. And so I'm always, to your point earlier, afraid that I'll, do something stupid or that I'll stumble a lot. And so I don't reach out, but just the power of making that one connection that had nothing to do with anything ends up being this cool serendipity, just this cool fluke. Tell his story, this gentleman's story. What is his name? And I mean, you mentioned prison and incarceration. How did having a stutter lead to incarceration? Who is this gentleman? Introduce him to us.
Yes. So Jay Jordan, yeah, he's a Black man born and raised in Stockton, California. He grew up with a debilitating stutter, still stutters to this day. And his way of masking his stutter was like wanting to protect himself from bullies that would make fun of him for his stutter. And so like a lot of us stutters, we develop coping mechanisms, and his coping mechanism was to put on a persona of like macho man. Like the first time he really stood up for himself was he put his hands on his bully. And ever since then, he kind of used violence as a mask for his stutter. And it kind of led him down a path where he eventually was incarcerated for something that he did that he took the fall for. And so he spent 7 years in prison. And through those years, he kind of transformed and really came to terms with like his stutter and who he was and how he wasn't this violent person. And it just takes us through his whole story. And it also brings us to his present day story, which he has 2 sons who also stutter. So they're just about to start school. And so he has this fear that the same things that happened to him would happen to his sons. And there's this process happening of him letting go and doing his best as a father to be there for them while also letting them navigate school on their own. So that's the story. We're still very early in pre-production, so there's still a lot that we're navigating, but that's really who the story is revolving around.
You have made an early trailer. Let's listen to a piece of the trailer and Jay Jordan talking about his situation.
I know who I am as a black man. I know who I am as a person who stutters.
That's Jay, and this is his story. Jay struggled with his stutter at school.
The fact that they were trying to help also made it clear to me that something was wrong with me that I had to fix. And I hated this room.
And navigated feelings of being misunderstood.
People thought I was, kind of had autism or, had some sort of mental illness because I didn't want to talk.
We are raising money to turn Jay's story into a documentary film, and we need your help. One moment on the playground changed his life forever and eventually led to his incarceration.
And I remember that day was kind of a turning point for me, which wasn't a good turning point because it led me down a dark path.
But Jay's story is about redemption and finding strength in his stutter. We need your help to make this film, to dispel the negative stereotypes around stuttering once and for all. We are raising money to finish the film, which includes 3 more days of filming.
I'll have you tell this in real time about 3 more days of filming. But let's talk first about the switch. So they give you a ton of money to create the documentary, and you go back to them and go, hey, I got a better idea or a different idea. Like, tell me about the conversation to take this audio documentary and turn it into a full-blown picture.
Yeah, so I felt confident in that the switch would be okay, given that it was the same theme, and most of the grantees were documentaries. So I just kind of showed them that there's like a story here that I think needs to be heard, and I think visually it's just there's going to be more of an impact telling this story visually than just audio. And so they
said
totally,
sure.
Yeah.
But then that changed your budget, I would think, Maya, by a ton, to put it nicely.
Oh yeah. So now I'm in the process of like taking on a whole new skill set, which is budgeting for documentaries, and which is something that I'm just learning as I go. And so a lot has changed since we first decided to do a documentary. But yeah, I'm just immersing myself and learning as much as I can. And every day I feel more confident. And yeah, it turns out I'm not like I have been able to raise a lot of money since that first grant, which is great. But the level of funding we need to really meet our vision is astounding. So
how much money in all is that?
So our dream budget is around 1.5 million.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's the feature that we're trying to fund. Although, I have a bare bones budget and a mid-tier budget. So we have like different scenarios, but the budget, our dream budget, is the one that we're sharing with investors and other foundations. So yeah.
My mom has this great book, which is wisdom from 8-year-olds. And my favorite one, Maya, is if you want a kitty, start off by asking for a horse. Yeah. And yeah, Melissa, age 8, pretty smart.
Okay.
You can't ask for the horse later, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you need the dream budget and then go from there. I watched the trailer, and you can watch it on our show notes page at stackingbenjamins.com. I'll link to it. And it totally doesn't look like this is your first project. I mean, that is a well done trailer. Like, it's well shot. Like, I've never shot anything, but for people that have listened to our show for a long time, I watch a ton of movies, and this is very well shot. It sounds like you're learning this stuff drinking through a fire hose.
Yeah. So I'm not actually the one behind the camera.
Okay.
Tessa is my like co-director, co-producer, and she does a lot of video production for her job. She works for the PGA Tour. Ever heard of it?
No.
Yeah. So she actually does mini documentaries of a lot of the players. So she's the one that edited this. So we kind of share a lot of responsibilities. She's the one that edited. She's the one that found the crew, which is a really small crew for this first shoot we did. And so that's how we were able to kind of use these talented cinematographers and filmmakers to capture the footage. And then Tessa and I were in like director mode throughout the whole day. And Tess is a very talented editor as well. So we're a good team.
I would imagine you're very good at the script writing.
Yes. So yeah, I helped with that script. And my role really in this whole thing is getting the funding for the film, going to all the film festivals, networking, marketing, kind of being that person that is just like building a family around the film is kind of how I like to describe myself.
I love the idea of like dream, mid-level, and bare bones. And I think that's great, by the way, Stackers, in your individual life for budgeting. Budget, if I got my dream budget, if things are going really well, if they're mid, or if it's super tight, even there. But what have you learned about budgeting during your time budgeting for this project?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I learned a lot from that first shoot. I tried my best to have as cheap of a budget as possible, but you kind of have to learn while you're doing. So, there were a lot of things that we kind of just had to learn as at that shoot. And one of the things that I didn't anticipate is we needed a security guard to like make sure our equipment doesn't get stolen. We needed to get approval from the city, which had to be done like 10 days in advance. So there's all these little things that I just didn't know that I really had to learn as I go. And so now for the next shoot, I can better prepare a budget that I can be really thoughtful about, because what I've learned in the film business is the most successful producers know how to stay under budget. And so that's really my North Star in building the career now that I want to do films as long as possible, is like getting really good at budgeting and getting confidence from people who are working to like tap me because I know how to keep things under budget. So that's kind of like what I've been learning.
Well, I think it's spot on. We had Don Hahn, the legendary producer from Disney, on Maya, and, he did Beauty and the Beast, Lion King. He's done budgeted so many things, but he started off as an Imagineer. And I remember asking him about being a guy that was on the artistic side and now being the guy that controls the purse strings. And he said that if you don't have a budget, if you don't have constraints, nothing gets done. Once you say, hey, you have to do it in this time frame. I mean, this is why deadlines work, right? If I got to do it with this amount of money in this time frame, it happens. But if you go, hey, you got forever and dream big, you just keep dreaming and nothing goes.
Yes, I definitely believe that too. And I feel like going through the process of making my first film is only going to make me a stronger producer as I continue on.
I love this because you're looking at it also from a long range perspective. I want to end on this because I started off saying there are things that are beyond money. And certainly I'm sure that you are hoping, and I'm hoping as a stutterer, that this project gets the same fame as a documentary like Free Solo, where I'm holding my breath the whole time, hoping this guy doesn't die. And I'm hoping that it's critically acclaimed, that it has that type of commercial success. But going in with a documentary, this isn't going to be Star Wars at the box office.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you reconcile chasing this thing without the, big money at the end zone?
Yeah, I think this just comes with having such an amazing team around the film. Tessa and I are both women who stutter, and we check each other every step of the way. Like, we have our kind of impact vision for the film. And we don't want anything to get in the way of that vision. So our goal is to just make a film that will make as much of an impact for people who stutter as possible. And so that's why we're dreaming big, because the more acclaim this film gets, the more people will watch it and the more our society will begin to understand people who stutter. So we're not doing it for the acclaim ourselves, but we really just believe that people who stuttered deserve to have a film that they can feel proud of and that they feel proud to share for their friends and family. And that's why we're taking our time and really being careful in trying to meet that vision and stay true to it every step of the way.
If people want to help, where do they go?
So yes, if you want to help, we actually just launched a new campaign to get the rest of our film funded during this pre-production phase. And so you can get that at rockofhopefilm.com.
Awesome. And we will, again, Stackers, link to it in the show notes at stackingbenjamins.com. Maya, thank you so much for mentoring our Stackers today on the role of passion in the project, about becoming somebody who can transform the way that really not just stuttering, but the way that people view anything in our society. And just for, I don't know, the passion you bring to this whole thing. I super appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And just one last thing, like this film, whether you stutter or not, it's for everyone, because we all have been made to feel less than or ashamed or uncomfortable. And this is really a film about standing up to that and embracing your full self.
This is Chris from Heavy Metal Money. When I'm not raging in a mosh pit, I'm stacking Benjamins.
Big thanks to Maya. And so inspirational when you see somebody changing lives in an area that they are as passionate about as Maya is. And of course, the fact that a stutter helps send somebody to jail, also just kind of a wild story there. Doug, I've got some really cool stuff for the back porch today.
I bet you don't.
Oh,
but what am I supposed to say to that? Okay. What's your cool stuff, Joe?
Okay. Well, and actually none of it comes from me. The first one comes from Stacker John, who listened to our show with Len Penzo last week. You know, I had that rampage last week. The open face is not a sandwich. It is not. It's an abomination. It's not a sandwich.
I'm with you.
Just when I see open face sandwich, I'm like, it's open something, but get rid of the word sandwich. He also lays it down. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but he says that the club is also not a sandwich because of the fact that it has 3 pieces of bread and not 2, making it not a sandwich.
No, what?
In fact, he says the Big Mac, a lasagna. He said that's cake. That is cake. When you pass 2 pieces of bread or 2 pieces of carb layering, it's cake.
No, okay. You're going to make me get technical on you here. The reason that the sandwich was invented was because while the Earl of Sandwich was playing cards, he wanted to be able to eat with one hand while he was still playing cards with the other. So having the second piece of bread allowed him to pick up the meat while he was still playing cards. So you can't throw cake and lasagna in there because those require forks, unless you were like me last Thursday. But let's forget about that for a second. The club or the Big Mac, absolutely a sandwich because it still has bread on the top and the bottom. I don't care if you have 11 pieces of bread in between, you can still pick it up with one hand and shove it in your face hole. That counts as a sandwich. And the club is fantastic.
But John's saying, and in fact, he goes to a website called cuberule.com. People can go there asking. And the first thing they ask is a hot dog then a sandwich?
Sure. I'll allow it.
Yes.
You know, speaking of club sandwiches, you may know that not too long ago, my son Tucker and I went to Scotland for a golfing vacation.
Ahoy, mate.
Unbelievable trip of a lifetime, except for the food. We got to the point where we were begging for just give me a simple club sandwich. Can't screw that up, except they can because they don't know how to make bacon. All we want is a basic club sandwich. Just give us a simple club
What
sandwich.
you should have done is one person orders a turkey sandwich with double turkey. One person orders a ham sandwich with double ham, and then make your own club sandwich.
Well, that would have been a good start.
Share the one piece of bread.
Yeah, that would have been a good start. That's a good thought, except the difference maker in a club sandwich is the bacon.
Bacon's gross, so I don't agree with that.
The Brits still have no idea how to make bacon. I know you're not a huge fan, but that's what makes the club to me is crisp lettuce, crisp tomato, crisp bacon, and then, turkey and ham. Awesome. But not a lot of deli meat over there. In fact, now that you mention it, can't remember seeing any on many places we went to. And the ham is really like the ham you eat at Easter time, that thick, little chewy.
Thicker ham.
Yeah. And it just
Yeah.
doesn't work.
That doesn't belong on a sandwich.
No. And some places would say crispy bacon or regular bacon. Crispy bacon, please. You left it in the air fryer for an extra 10 seconds. It's not crispy.
Just tell us how you really feel.
Oh, I'm so still outraged by it.
Well, besides the food, though, how were the prices? Was it bad food and expensive?
No, that's interesting you bring that up. I wouldn't say it was. And one of the reasons why we thought it was far more affordable, no tipping and taxes included. So it really felt like you were getting like a 30% discount on your food.
Wow.
Because between hey, would you like to automatically tip 50%? And then throw in, wherever you live, 6%, 8% tax, whatever it is. We were almost every time we got done eating, we were surprised at how small the number was at the bottom of the bill.
Our bourbon budget, our scotch budget is way higher than we thought.
Right.
This is awesome.
No, but exactly. I mean, even with drinks included, you get done with a dinner with, 4 or 5 scotches and whatever, normal meals, and you're still like 60 pounds. 70. I mean, it was fantastic. That part of it was great. Just the actual taste bud experience, not as good as the receipt experience.
I got just a couple more things here from the back porch. We've got a stacker who is in the Olympics. Of course, we talked to Olympian Lauren Williams at the beginning of the Olympics, if you want to go back, and she walked us through what it was like, what the Olympic experience was. But we got a stacker that hopefully we'll be able to get him on. He's representing the United States in the Paralympics, which is going to start on August 28th. His name is Evan Wilkerson, and go Evan. I love it when we got people in the stacker community who are Olympians. Super excited for that. And you know what? In the basement, we will talk about when and how to follow what Evan is doing. His very proud mom and I have been chatting back and forth, and he's got some serious chances to medal. She says his best chance of medaling is in the 100 backstroke, which is going to be on August 31st.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's so cool. Speaking of August 31st, that Labor Day weekend, my son Nick and I will be in Minneapolis. So come hang out with us before Camp 5. That's going to be Thursday, August 29th. We'll be in Stillwater, just outside of Minneapolis. Come join us and a bunch of stackers and people headed to Camp 5 the next day. So hopefully if you're in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area, stackingbenjamins.com/meetup to come join us. That's how you can get the details. But it's at 6:30 at night at the Red Siren, and lots of our stacker buddies and our financial independence friends going to be hanging out there around Minneapolis. Really looking forward to another Camp 5 experience and to seeing a bunch of our Midwest friends up there. Doc G is going to be joining me. I also found that out as well. All right. That's going to do it for today. Doug, what should we have learned? Man, there was a lot. What should we have learned on today's episode?
Well, Joe, I can tell you 3 of them. First, take some advice from Maya Chupkov. Have a goal. Use the fact that you're quickly becoming smart about budgets to go get that goal. You can change your community and change your own life with your new Benjamin stacking superpower. Second, while we hope you grab a big raise, it's better to plan for the worst and hope for the best. Tighten the belt. Get that emergency fund in place and tackle that list of talking points to secure a raise. But what's the biggest to do? I gotta get myself a suit of chainmail to hold me over until my suit of armor is finished. I gotta have something to protect my cargo shorts and Big Dog's t-shirts if the Medieval Times restaurant calls before I'm knighted. Thanks to Maya Chupkov for joining us today. You'll find details about her film, Rock of Hope, and how you can support making it at proudstutterer.org. We'll also include links in our show notes at stackingbenjamins.com. This show is the property of SB Podcasts, LLC, copyright 2024, and is created by Joe Saul-Sehy. Joe gets help from a few of our neighborhood friends. You'll find out about our awesome team at stackingbenjamins.com, along with the show notes and how you can find us on YouTube and all the usual social media spots. Come say hello. Oh yeah, and before I go, not only should you not take advice from these nerds, don't take advice from people you don't know. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before making any financial decisions, speak with a real financial advisor. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor Doug, and we'll see you next time back here at the Stacking Benjamin Show.
Okay, I've sat here trying to think of something pleasant to say after that, and I can't.